Very well, history enthusiasts, strap in. You're about to witness 3,000 years of human ego, confusion, and overreaction compressed into one countdown. Before we start, hit that subscribe button and join Ancient Absurdity, the only corner of YouTube where military history meets collective face-palming. Every war on this list actually happened. Every single one cost lives, money, or dignity for reasons that range from mild misunderstanding to international farce. By the end, you'll understand that humanity doesn't need aliens to destroy us. We do it ourselves with paperwork and wounded pride. 33. The War of Jenkins Ear, 1739 to 1748. A British captain loses an ear to a Spanish coast guard. 8 years later, Parliament declares war out of pure spite. Thousands die avenging a severed ear nobody could even find. Britain eventually gets bored and merges the conflict into another war, proving attention spans were short, even before TikTok. For 32, the Pastry War, 1838-1839. A French baker in Mexico claims soldiers ruined his shop. France demands 600,000 pesos, roughly the GDP of common sense, and blockades Veracruz. A year later, both sides give up. France leaves with compensation, and the baker finally gets paid. The morale: never underestimate a man with croissants and legal counsel. 31. The War of the Stray Dog, 1925. A Greek soldier chases his runaway dog across the Bulgarian border. Both countries mobilize their armies. After a few days of shooting, the League of Nations steps in and tells them to stop. The final casualty report: 1 dog, several humans, and Europe's reputation for rational behavior. 30. The Emu War, 1932. Australia declares war on birds. Farmers request help against emus destroying crops, and the army shows up with machine guns. The emus win, twice. The military retreats, defeated by large birds with zero political ideology. Australia quietly removes the event from its resume. 29. The Toledo War, 1835-1836. Ohio and Michigan nearly fight over a strip of land shaped like a dental floss string. Troops march, insults fly, and only one person gets mildly stabbed. Washington intervenes. Michigan loses the strip, but gains the Upper Peninsula. Everyone pretends that was the plan all along. 28. The Aroostook War, 1838-1839. Another border dispute, this time between the US and Canada. Armies deploy, but the only real casualties are supply budgets and lumberjack tempers. Diplomats settle it peacefully, proving once again that wars between English-speaking cousins are best resolved over tea and apologies. 27. The Football War, 1969. El Salvador and Honduras erupt after a World Cup qualifier. Riots escalate into airstrikes. 90 hours later, the Organization of American States says, "Enough." The football match ends 3-2. The war, 3,000 dead. Humanity, 0 goals. 26. The Cod Wars, 1958-1976. Iceland and Britain repeatedly clash over fishing rights. Gunboats ram each other over haddock. The Icelanders win through stubbornness and superior geography. The British Navy ends up negotiating with fishermen, a humiliation unmatched since the tea shortage of 1773. 25. The Pig War, 1859. An American farmer shoots a British pig rooting in his potato patch on San Juan Island. Both empires mobilize troops. Months of standoff follow until everyone realizes no one wants to die over livestock. The final treaty: don't shoot pigs. Solid policy, really. 24. The Bucket War, 1325. Modena steals Bologna's wooden bucket. Bologna invades. Thousands die. The bucket remains in Modena's museum to this day. Visitors admire it as a timeless monument to civic pride and terminal stupidity. 23. The War of the Oaken Bucket. Alternate name clarification. Historians still argue whether it deserves a separate entry. We're including it again simply because two cities genuinely kept fighting over the same bucket for centuries. Italy. Beautiful landscapes. Disastrous conflict resolution. For 22. The War of the Golden Stool, 1900. In colonial Ghana, a British official demands to sit on the sacred Golden Stool, symbol of the Ashanti nation. The Ashanti declare war. The British win militarily but never touch the stool. It's still revered today, proving that respect beats firepower every time. 21. The Anglo-Zanzibar War, 1896. The world's shortest war, 38 minutes. Britain demands the Sultan step down. He refuses. Shelling begins at 9:02 a.m., ends at 9:40. The palace burns, the Sultan flees, and history invents a new Guinness category, fastest empire flex. The 20. The War of the Whiskers, 1324. A French noble insults another's beard. Honor demands bloodshed. Feudal France mobilizes knights over facial hair, proving that vanity was once a legitimate casus belli. The feud fizzles when both men die, ironically clean-shaven in their portraits. But 19. The War of the Oranges, 1801. Spain and France invade Portugal because Napoleon is bored. Spanish General Godoy celebrates victory by sending Queen Maria Luisa a basket of oranges as a trophy. The war lasts weeks, achieves nothing, and remains the most citrus-flavored conflict in history. Though 18. The 335 Years' War, 1651–1986. The Netherlands and the Isles of Scilly technically stay at war for over 3 centuries due to a paperwork oversight. No battles, no casualties, no one remembers. In 1986, they sign peace out of politeness, the longest and most peaceful war ever recorded. For 17, the War of the Bavarian Succession, 1778–1779, known as the Potato War. Austria and Prussia mobilize massive armies only to avoid battle and live off local farms. Soldiers spend months stealing potatoes while officers argue. The peace treaty leaves borders unchanged and bellies full. Time War 16, the War of the Moldovan Transnistria. Independence, 1992. A post-Soviet confusion escalates into an accidental war between neighbors. Both sides use outdated weapons and even share the same officers by mistake. Ceasefire lines freeze where tanks run out of fuel. A war that literally stopped when engines did. Then 15. The War of the Paraguayan Insanity, 1864–1870. Dictator Francisco Solano Lopez decides Paraguay can beat Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay simultaneously. The result, near extinction of his country. By the end, 90% of Paraguayan males are dead. Historians still debate whether it was courage or collective madness. 19. The War of the Austrian Succession, 1740–1748. It begins over whether a woman, Maria Theresa, can rule Austria. Europe answers by destroying half the continent. 8 years later, she keeps the throne anyway. Billions spent, thousands dead, and misogyny loses again. Number 13, the War of the Insane Republics, 1879–1883. Chile, Peru, and Bolivia fight over nitrate deposits in the Atacama Desert. Everyone loses something. Bolivia loses its coast, Peru loses its army, and Chile gains a pile of salty sand. Economically absurd, strategically catastrophic, and geographically dry in every sense. 12. The War of the Theatres, 1642–1649. During England's Civil War, Puritans ban plays for being immoral. Actors join the royalist cause. Dramas become propaganda. Shakespeare's ghost sighs. When Cromwell wins, theatre vanishes until the Restoration, an artistic casualty of religious paranoia. 11. The Taiping Rebellion, 1850–1864. A failed civil service candidate claims to be the younger brother of Jesus and starts a heavenly kingdom. 20 million people die. All because one man misread a theology pamphlet, the most catastrophic identity crisis in human history. 110. The War of the Triple Alliance, 1864–1870. Paraguay again. Apparently, once wasn't enough. Solano Lopez's ego escalates into a continental bloodbath. The country loses half its population, 2/3 of its land, and all credibility. Future generations simply refer to it as that time we tried war again. Number 9. The War of the Spanish Succession, 1701-1714. Europe panics over who gets Spain's throne. Everyone picks sides, fights for a decade, and eventually crowns the same man they argued about in the first place. The peace treaty reads like a bureaucratic shrug. Number 8. The War of the Polish Succession, 1733-1738. Essentially a sequel nobody asked for. France, Spain, and Austria fight again over another throne. Thousands die. The same families still rule afterward. It's like history's longest-running reality show, Keeping Up with the Bourbons. Number 7. The Crimean War, 1853-1856. Russia wants access to the Mediterranean. Britain and France panic about balance of power. Outdated tactics meet modern artillery, and the result is mass slaughter over bad communication and worse logistics. The charge of the Light Brigade sums it up. Poetry born from stupidity. Number 6. The War of the Roses, 1455-1487. Two branches of the same family fight for the English throne. After 30 years, thousands dead, and multiple Henrys later, the surviving branch marries the rival one. England invents the Tudor dynasty and learns that family therapy might have been cheaper. 5. The Fourth Crusade, 1202-1204. Intended to liberate Jerusalem, ends with Christian crusaders sacking Christian Constantinople instead. They never reach the Holy Land. It's like setting out for church and robbing the Vatican halfway there. Number 4. The War of 1812. Britain and the US go to war because someone forgot to update their diplomacy mail. The peace treaty is signed before the final Battle of New Orleans even happens. Both sides claim victory, mostly to save face. Communication lag. 19th century edition. 3. World War I, 1914-1918. Triggered by one assassination and maintained by national pride, bureaucracy, and trench stubbornness. Millions die. No real point is achieved. The peace treaty merely sets up the sequel 20 years later. Humanity's most expensive lesson in miscommunication. Number 2. The War of the Bucket, revisited, 1325. Yes, it's back, because no other conflict encapsulates the absurdity of human pride better. Two Italian city-states fight over a literal wooden bucket, killing thousands. 8 centuries later, the bucket is still on display, mocking us all. Number 1. The Liechtenstein, Switzerland. Not a war. Incident, 1866. Switzerland sends 80 soldiers to guard the border. They return with 81 because they made a friend in Liechtenstein. No shots fired, one new buddy gained. The only war in history where the casualty list improved. Humanity, for once, accidentally did something right. And that, dear scholars of nonsense, concludes humanity's highlight reel of irrational conflict. From buckets to emus to world wars, one truth remains. People will find a way to fight over anything. If you learned something, or at least feel slightly better about your own bad decisions, hit subscribe to Ancient Absurdity. Because history may not repeat itself, but stupidity definitely does. And we're here to document it.
Subscribe to Ancient Absurdity.